Okay, we'll call to order this April the 17th, 2019 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Saltmeyer.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire.
Present.
Chair Howard.
Present.
Vice Chair Higginson. Present. Commissioner Duff.
Present. If you'd all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for the invocation that will be led by Reverend Todd Miller of the Cherry Street Wesleyan Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, thank you so much for giving me the honor to be here today, to invite the Holy Spirit to join you in leading this wonderful county. Thank you so much, especially this time during Holy Week, week up to Easter. It's amazing, thousands of years later, we're still inviting the Holy Spirit into our meetings, or should I say, He's still inviting us to partner with Him. So let's do that now. Bow with me. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for leaders of this county like this that are willing to seek you in leading these people. It can be a hard job, an impossible job to keep everybody happy. There's just no way to do that, no matter what you're doing. And so we look to you to do the best that we can in every situation. And here we are, the meeting of these leaders of this great county, that we would ask you to infill them with wisdom so they can go and make the decisions that need to be made upon this county for the people, and the decisions that will bring glory to you and prosperity to the people and to this county. So join us now. Fill this room with your presence and lead. A lead like you have done for years and years and years. We thank you so much. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Thank you.
Do we have any correspondence? It takes us to public comment. A citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Discussion is limited to 5 minutes, and the commission will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of county commission business, and public comment is not permitted in regard to personnel matters or on pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items at a later date.
Gene Hurt.
Good morning, Commissioners. Gene Hurt, 219 West 4th Street in Linden, Kansas. First of all, good to see you here, Wendell. People out there in that district miss you a lot, okay? Now, my comments under this portion is this. I wasn't able to be here Monday. I saw and seen in the newspaper yesterday what was stated in here and everything, so we'll get to those items at a time. But right now, I want to talk about some other things here that's not been addressed since then, and that is on dust control. Now, yesterday I talked to last night, in fact, and James is here. I think he wants to talk too. But I got 2 calls after James called me. And they told me that they paid their money for the road to have it. Now, here's the other interesting point they're concerned about. Who's going to do the pre-soak? Is it going to be the county, or is it going to be the outfit doing it? I don't know, but that's they want to know. And then what is the duration between the pre-soak and then when you put it down? Okay. Down. But see, they paid their money, especially the both. but they didn't get no flags. That was supposed to be given, and they're not getting their information that they're supposed to. They paid their hard-earned money. So I have to bring that up for their sake. You're not proceeding properly again. And I told them I would speak for them both anyway. Now, the next thing is this. The one other item I'm going to talk to you later is I signed up for it. I'm not going to talk about that part now. I'll do it then. But I want to reference Wellsville right now. Because in there at Wellsville, there was a man and his wife that lived in Wellsville that were icons in this county. That was T.J. Bivens and Pat. And they didn't trust a certain commissioner that's in here now that's taken over the 3rd District. They would have me come up and give me a check for money. And they knew that I would get the money to where they wanted it to be put. And one of them was for the Elizabeth Layton Center for the needy kids. And I tell you, I didn't mind going to Wellsville and getting that money from them and taking it for them because Pat trusted me so much. And I want to say that it's a real sad situation that both of them aren't here with us today, or unfortunately they're both gone. But they were icons. I worked for TJ for many years, when he lived out there and he had his airplane. So that, I'm through for now. Thank you.
James Wallace.
Same thing, James Mott.
Good morning, James Wallace, 2447 Nebraska Road. First, let me say I know that we've had a rough winter and the winter was hard on the county roads. And like Gene said, there's a lot of us that have paid for dust control and not seeing anything move forward on that. 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was discussed here about dust control, and I don't know if it fizzled out or what happened, but nothing's been happening as far as dust control. I know the county has more than 1,100 miles of county road, and not every road gets attention on the same day. I've seen the county grader go by on a Saturday, and which surprised me. I haven't seen it since. And there's still a few potholes in the 2400 block of Nebraska Road, and the ditches are almost full, and there's clumps of dirt and rock on the side of the road that need to be removed so the water can get to the ditches and not run down the side or shoulders of the road. There's a lot of pre-work that needs to be done and maintenance on county roads. And according to the Federal Highway Administration, gravel road maintenance design manual details how to best maintain unpaved roads in your municipality. First and foremost, maintaining the road shape is critical to the health of any gravel road. As the guide explains, in order to maintain a gravel road properly, operators must clearly understand the need for 3 basic elements: a ground driving surface, a shoulder area that slopes directly away from the edge of the driving surface, and a ditch. Without proper upkeep of this crown and shape, even lightly trotted gravel roads suffer from blocked drainage and accelerated deterioration. While many gravel roads will require significant reshaping and degrading at some point despite regular maintenance. The need for major rehabilitation can be delayed by taking the proper measures up front. All I want really is, you know, regular maintenance, of course. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Get the road off the side of the shoulders, or get the gravel off the side of the shoulders, and let the water drain into the ditch, and keep the ditches cleared out. And as soon as you can get the dust control down, you know, let it do its work, and it'll maintain the road a lot better. You guys won't have to run the graders up and down the roads a lot, like you have been for no reason. You know, hadn't been that much this year, but that's all I got to say.
Okay. It's on.
Randall Renault.
Okay, I thought he was on. 5 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Clerk, Mr. Lee, Mr. Brown. Guess that's the correct organizational flow chart. I'm here to ask you to consider in your 2020 budget that you add a line item for road improvement. And I'm not talking about maintaining roads, I'm talking about a change in roads, such as the Stafford project that they're looking at now. But the county roads are not going to continue to be the same. And I appreciate the way you've looked at this chip and seal project and maybe making adjustments. If you got a house and 5 rooms in it, you don't carpet one every 5 years. You sit there and see which one of it. And when you got a room that little Ricky's in, you may even say, hey, carpet's not good enough, we need a wood floor. And so you guys need to understand, and hopefully you will, that it's time maybe to have a dedicated line item with a mill levy, whatever it is, 1/10 or 10 mills, and it may adjust every year, but it's only going to go for road improvement. You have to change an intersection, you have to add something, you need to go to something, then I think you'll have some funds for it. It may not be any money coming out of it some years. And certainly, I would caution you about making this something where we let every district have a person, say, on a board that makes a committee recommendation. This is a county job, and it's something that you guys are as county commissioners. You're not district commissioners, you're county commissioners. And when the county needs something someplace, you need to look at that and prioritize it based on need and not a rotation or because it's your turn to get the money or whatever it might be. But I know that as you do the budget, you look at that, nobody likes tax increases, but bad taxes are what's bad, not taxes. And making a mill levy for a project that's going to improve roads to become whenever you need it, then that money would be there. And so I would encourage you to look at the budget and try to come up with at least a starting point. Open a savings account somewhere. You know, you gotta have a starting point. At least a line item that, hey, let's put a little money here, whether it's an additional mill, or maybe you can make adjustments in your budget and not have to raise a mill levy. But either way, come up with some dedicated funds for times when we have to do that. And one thing I did not hear mentioned was Tennessee Road south of, north of Pawnee, south of Sand Creek, where the Penny's quarry is. There's ruts on the northbound lanes 6 inches deep on that chip and seal. It's not going to, where the summer construction goes and the load of rock coming out of there, that road's taking a beating. So you're going to have some projects that are really going to take some funds. But again, I'd like to see something that's not used for maintenance, but for improvements. Thank you.
Charlie Adamson.
Good morning. I'm Charlie Adamson, 2209 Nevada Road. And this is going to seem really coincidental, I imagine, with things I've read in the news about this, about your option number 4 up here, and I can't claim to understand all about that. But this is something I've had on my mind for several years, I imagine, and it's just simply a suggestion, would be to, if you could consider paving, chip and sealing, whatever the situation might be, from Rock Creek Road on from Nebraska, from Rock Creek Road up to Labette Terrace or Marshall. From Labette Terrace to Marshall's already blacktopped. But if that road could be improved, one thing that it would do is it would alleviate traffic coming from southeast, Rantoul area, especially when this, partly with the busyness of Love's truck stop, partly also with the increased traffic that's gonna be in that area south of town when this industrial park gets up and going. We can only expect there's gonna be more truck traffic. But it would alleviate a lot of traffic. There's also Harrison Township building right there at the intersection of Rock Creek and Nebraska. And on April the 1st, I just happened to have to go to Kansas City for some continuing education. And so I live like a mile east of Nebraska, where the township building is and where the fire trucks are. So about the time I get onto Rock Creek Road and I'm heading west, coming into work, I can see an emergency vehicle going away from me that went on Rock Creek Road, and it ultimately I discovered it was a fire truck. So it went west on Rock Creek Road until we got to 59 Highway, then went, I discovered this after the fact, but got on I-35, headed north on I-35. So I went into work, picked up a couple of other guys, and we headed to Kansas City for our continuing education. And I can't tell you exactly where this happened, but one of the Ottawa sanitation dump trucks had caught on fire on I-35. And that was where this fire truck was going to. And that also led me to think about how having Nebraska improved could also benefit fire response time. If he had not felt like, for whatever reason, he went 3rd to 59 and came back around, but if Nebraska were improved, he could very easily have gone straight to I-35. There's an interchange there on Marshall, 15th Street, as you all know. So it would also help in the fire response time, I think. And like I know this seems extremely coincidental, it's not meant to be. I hear in the paper we've found some funds, and what I'm saying to you right now has nothing to do with that. I hope that Commissioner Waymire realizes that more than anybody, because I've texted him several times about when the next meeting was, and just wanting to come in and share this with you. I know you've got a hell of a tough job, but this is just simply a suggestion I hope that you might consider. But I think it'd be a huge benefit, especially to the residents in the southeast part of the county. And that's about all I got. Thanks for your time.
Is that the part of Nebraska Road that we're working on? No, not there.
I think he's talking further south, right?
Yeah, so as of
Clear to
now-
Rock Creek.
Yeah, so we need to connect the paved portion, which we are working towards, to the unpaved portion all the way till Rock Creek.
We're repairing Nebraska north of Labette Terrace, and I think we're
Right,
talking
where it's
about-
already blacktop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about pretty much everything south of that point to Rock Creek.
Yeah.
Be a good idea.
We do have a policy as far as the threshold has to meet to be approved, traffic counts and all that. I don't know if that one's been studied recently, but most of them have, and there haven't been too many that request that even meet the traffic count. It would be handy though.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I mean, to do a traffic count today would not truly reflect what it would be if that were improved.
To take the stress off another.
There'd be a lot more people use Nebraska if it were improved rather than going clear to 59. So, you know, a traffic count today wouldn't really be representative of what could become, I should think.
I think it would, if we did have money to start, adding on to our paved secondary road. I
Right,
think that'd be
right.
a prime one. I
Right.
think from Homewood to Old 50 would be a prime one.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
It takes us to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda today that need considered and approved are claim vouchers in the amount of $940,676.35. Special claim vouchers in the amount of $55,360.09. The minutes from April the 10th, 2019 meeting, and the minutes from April the 15th study session. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion and a second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, it takes us to items of business. Our first item of business today is consider appointment of Board of Community Corrections representative as the 4th District Community Corrections Advisory Board Chairperson. Scott?
Good morning. Community Corrections Advisory Board has a vacancy for a Board of County Commissioners representative to serve as chairperson. The Advisory Board recommends Kelly Johnson to serve as the BOCC's representative to serve as chairman for the Community Corrections Advisory Board. Kelly Johnson is the Chief Court Services Officer for the 4th District Court Services.
Kelly here.
Ms. Kelly here.
Oh, no, Kelly is not here today.
Does Kelly know she's about to get this?
She's accepting of the position.
Kelly,
Yeah,
Johnson,
Kelly.
it's a he. And he is-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
He
no,
is-
sorry.
He is on our advisory board. But yeah, he's not here today.
We work with Kelly quite a bit. He's someone that often helps us in interviews when the county has a great relationship with Kelly in particular. Oftentimes when we need a liaison with the district court, it is Kelly that we use. So I do think he would be a good choice here.
Good, thanks. Okay, any questions on this?
Make a motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve Kelly Johnson, Chief Court Services Officer for the 4th Judicial District Court, to be appointed to the BOCC representative to serve as chairperson of the 4th Judicial District Court, District Community Corrections Advisory Board.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item number 2, consider approval of remounting Medic 2. Nick?
Good morning, Commission. I'm here this morning to discuss the remount of one of our ambulances. This has been a pretty routine thing that we've done since I took over. We purchased ambulances from Lifeline. The manufacturer, Rocky Mountain Emergency Vehicles, is the salesperson for them. What basically they do is they remove the chassis off from underneath it, put a new chassis in it, repaint the box, fix any flaws or errors. With this upgrade, this is the last truck that has the big halogen and LED lights on it, so there's big holes in the side of the box. The new lighting only has a little hole, so they'll have to weld stuff shut. They'll have to do some modifications on the box, so the bid's a little bit higher. The other thing, if some of you can remember last year when we remounted, they changed the color of blue that we have in the back of our truck. So to hopefully keep from having to deal with that again, we're switching the colors to black in the back of the truck, the vinyl or leather stuff. So maybe they won't be able to change the color of the black so it'll match and we'll have to redo all the interior. But that's what the significant increases are from. Normally it costs about $118,000 to remount. The bid for this one's $124,419, and like I said, the big differences are they do have to weld some holes shut, do some modifications that way, and then we're completely replacing all the vinyl. This is the second time this box has been remounted, so there are some flaws and stuff that we anticipated that we would have to fix anyway, so fixing that line is probably the right thing to do anyway. So, as I said, the new ambulance cost us in the ballpark, if we went and just bought new ambulances every 5 years, it would be about $180,000 an ambulance. So significant savings by having. We've had very good luck with just sticking with Lifeline to do these. The warranties continue over due to the fact that we purchased them from, they do the remounts in-house. How it basically works is they have one line of new and one line of remount, so they're on the same floor, the same people working on them. So far, it's been a great partnership. I'm open for any questions if you have them.
This is no surprise. It's not, like you said, it's pretty much done every year, and it's always budgeted for. So this is budgeted for also, correct?
How long is that out of commission how long does it take them to do it?
That's a good question. The reason we do these in May is because right now we have 4 of our big van ambulances and we have 1 Sprinter. If we do it in May, we'll have it back by the the end of July or first part of August. So we'll be here for all of the tractor show, car show, that kind of stuff. The goal is to get it back by fair time. That's pushing it. If we are doing the first part of May, but we should have it back first part of August.
And how many times can you remount? How many kids?
They have boxes out there that have over 1 million miles and up to 5 or 6 remounts on them. The big things that change, all these boxes are on Ford chassis now. One of the boxes was, when we purchased it, was on a Chevy chassis. So there was some modifications on how it attached to the chassis, that kind of stuff that had to be done, but the boxes are pretty much uniform. One thing we've done is we've designed these boxes so they're all the same, so no matter whether you get Medic 1 or Medic 4, you're stepping in the truck with the same, that looks identical.
And the way you guys take care of it, and the work they do when they get remounted, they all look like that. You wouldn't know if it had 10 miles or 10,000 or anywhere above that.
One thing I will tell you with the program we use Fleetio to track our stuff, and I can give you a printout of expenses. Over the last year, we've seen an increase. So for this truck, it's a 2014, the expenses, we spent about $8,000 on repairs, stuff like that with that truck. Other trucks that are in the younger one were about, $2,000 or something like that. That includes tires, all that. So normally about 5-year mark, right around 120,000, you start seeing those vehicles needing more exhaust leaks, that kind of stuff started to happen on that V10. So that's kind of why we chose the 5 years, 120,000 remount schedule.
Staying with gas.
Yes. And we were nervous about going with gas, but we really haven't seen a lot of problems with them.
Questions?
What was the reason between the gas versus diesel? What was the reason to change?
We were forced to. Ford does not make a diesel engine in a van chassis anymore. Chevy has went away from making the vans, and the front ends on the Chevy really were too light for the ambulance anyway. So the only way to go with the diesel now is to go with a standard cab, the longer nosed Ford boxes. And then you can get the diesel. The thing with that, they won't fit in our bay because they're too long. And then you start having to deal with airbag suspension, which those airbags require quite a bit of maintenance. They have moisture in them, you have to drain the moisture. There's a lot of potential issues by switching from the vans to go to the bigger trucks. And honestly, the V10, we were getting about 150,000 out of the diesel. We're getting somewhere in the ballpark, they say about 120 out of the gas engines. You got to think that truck also has 5,000, about 200 hours of idle time on it. So the cost comparison, saving on oil changes and that, I think has been pretty significant with the
That's from that.
I was here when we started all this program, and we just tried one to see. It sounds like it's been a real successful deal. We made a good, you made a good suggestion to us to try it. So I think it's been a really good deal.
And not only is this program successful, but I think more importantly, I think just the fact that Nick has bothered to look at his budget. I mean, the easiest thing for Nick to have done is just come to you all saying, hey, need a new ambulance. But instead of doing that, he looked at his budget, and Nick does this with every line, and he thinks critically about, okay, is there a way we can save money here? And $50,000 a pop, and even in a $29 million budget, is huge. And so it's something that Janet and I talk about all the time, and we're getting more and more of our staff to look at their budgets this way. Like, don't accept the status quo. Are there ways to do it better? And certainly appreciate that Nick has done that for years now.
You ready for a motion?
Okay, we look for a motion to approve the remounting amendment two.
Motion to approve.
Motion to second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Wademeyer?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, item number 3, consider approval to contract with Bourbon County to house their juvenile offenders. Ken?
Here to get your approval for the contract with Bourbon County to hold their juvenile offenders in our juvenile detention center. The agreement, basically, they've been in a contract with the Southeast Kansas Regional Juvenile Detention Center since '92. Down there, they go off of a formula to decide how much each county pays every year, and they pay that amount no matter whether they're juveniles or not for their county. They're wanting to get out of that contract and go somewhere that is per diem, be a little bit cheaper for them instead of, I think they were saying they were paying over $100,000 a year just normal juveniles in Crawford, here, Girard, and the juvenile detention center.
Even if they don't have any?
Even if they don't have any, yes. So they're wanting to exit that contract and start a contract with us, or depending on however, per diem, so. And we would like to work with them and help them.
I can certainly see why Crawford County would want that. I mean, if you look at our facility, we spend probably $500,000 a year at least on it. And we may bring in for Bourbon County $20,000 to $30,000 a year, maybe tops. Do it at per diem rate, so we're essentially subsidizing their juvenile detention facility. I mean, it would be far more equitable for them to do what Crawford County proposes. More or less, the people in this county are subsidizing juvenile detention for another county.
How long is the agreement for? Is it per year, for like till the end of the year, or ongoing? Or?
Ongoing.
And it's got a 10-day termination clause, Ryan, so either party can give 10 days notice and then terminate it.
So you've already looked over the contract?
Yeah, oh yeah, the contract is, I mean, drafted a contract, so it's easy in, easy out. We're unhappy with it, or 10 days notice.
Well, I think it'll help our facility when we're looking at low census, whether our facility is viable. This would be a good way to, make our facility viable and have, housing other juveniles.
Do you know how many on average they have?
County attorney said they average about 12 juveniles a year, some on short term, some end up being long term, so.
So it's not anything that our current staff could handle.
Correct.
Budget-wise, you're talking a couple percent of their annual budget. I mean, it's hardly the difference between you make a facility justifiable or not. Just not convinced that we are subsidizing their juvenile detention for providing a service far lower than what it actually costs to provide. Just don't know if it's a good policy to continue going forward. I don't see it doing more of it.
somehow we'll get out.
I see what you're saying, but in my opinion, every little bit that comes into ours can't hurt us, it only help us some. Right now, numbers are a problem. It's not gonna raise the numbers a lot, that's for sure, but.
No, but I can certainly see when we look at this facility, say, geez, as we just said, it's hard with whether we question its viability, that would bring in more people, and then it's just even harder to make the decision when it wasn't viable yesterday, it still won't be viable tomorrow, but it's even harder to say, well, now we've got even more people, more responsibility, what do we do with it? It limits our options going forward.
I don't
I
think
feel
so.
like it paints us into a corner.
That's why I asked, you know, how long the contract is for, so until we make a decision, then I don't see any.
I don't think that this is an economic decision so much. I would agree with you, Colt. I don't think it necessarily makes the center any more viable, but I also don't think it paints us into a corner. If you're talking 12 juveniles a year, I don't think that's something that if we ever, you know, we're in the process of looking at the viability of that center, and if, as the case may be, it's not, I don't think 12 juveniles spaced throughout a year from another county, I wouldn't call that painting us into a corner. For me, this is just about cooperation between local governments and being a good partner. I certainly don't think it's this great economic boon for us. I don't think it's with 12 juveniles over 12 months, I just don't see it as that big of a.
I just don't want to in any way get however many months down the road, we look objectively at our operations and say this just isn't the best use of money, this just isn't good for Franklin County, and have Bourbon County added to the list of, well, what about Bourbon County? What about these people? Like, you can't do that. Like, I want to make a decision that is independently best for our county and our operations and not be hamstringed by, you know, the needs of the counties.
Certainly understand that, and if as a board you feel like that being in this contract would hamper your ability to look objectively at our operation, then certainly consider that before entering into it. But
I'm okay voting for it. I just want to state now that I will not, you know, however many months down the road have our decision made by the needs of another organization.
And I agree with Cole, but that's not why that juvenile center was built over there. It was built over there in opposition to putting in a new adult center. And the cost of the juvenile center was so much in moving them out down where the adults are, moving more adults to that part. And I agree with him what he's saying, but that's why that was put over there in the first place, is because we made the decision not to spend several $1 million more for an adult and move the juveniles over there. And I'm not saying it's a money-making deal, but that's why it all happened.
And I agree partly with Cole about the far down the road, whether this is viable or not. But in my opinion, we need to make some efforts to make it viable if we can, and this is just one step in that direction. Not that this is going to do it, but it's a step in that direction. And maybe there's some other options down the road that we can also look at that will make it more viable than it is right now. So.
And Ken and I look at that all the time. I mean, that's part of the, I wouldn't call it a study, but Ken and I are looking into the viability, and that's part of the calculus, is what are things that we could do to make this more viable. And I think all of you know this, but I'll just add this for context for members of the public who might not know. The trend in legislation is just to put less and less juveniles in detention centers. That's just the way the law is going right now, and obviously with less juveniles in detention comes less need for a juvenile detention center, and that's kind of the impetus for this discussion about whether or not the center is viable. It's not at all. I mean, it's nothing with the operation or any particular inefficiency that the county has. It's just literally the way the state legislature is moving the laws surrounding juveniles. So.
not, I would look for a motion to approve the contract with Bourbon County to house the juvenile offenders.
I'll make that motion.
Every motion's for a second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Chair Hopper?
Yes. Thanks, Kim. Okay, item number 4. Consider for approval accepting proposal for Kellogg Construction to perform work on Nebraska Road and Labette Terrace as well as Rock Creek Road. Derek.
Yeah, we talked about this at Monday's study session. We got a bid from Kilo to, I think the current bid is for 39 separate locations, each that need a various degree of milling and asphalt. I believe one of them is between 1 and 3 inches asphalt patch, and the other is 3 and 6. You look at Kilo's breakdown, obviously the 3 and 6 inch patches are cost significantly more, but it's right there in front of you. The back of their quote is a little confusing, which is why we added our Excel spreadsheet, kind of breaking it down. It's a little more user-friendly. This money that we would pay to do this will come out of the maintenance contract line of the Public Works budget, which is solely been used for chip seal. But as we discussed Monday, given that we're in the 5th year of the rotation and the number of miles we have, instead of doing about 60 miles, we're only going to do 25 or 30. And so instead of a $900,000 quote, it's closer to $450 or so. And I'll have a change order coming before you here in the next week or 2 for Vance Brothers and that revised amount. But the money is in the budget to do this. These are both roads we've gotten a multitude of complaints on, and so I've got Jeff here again today, and we would stand for any questions that you have.
Do you have 2 public comments on this?
I guess just so everybody out there knows, we discussed and Jeff checked money, the bid we have from Kellogg is below the state bid, correct?
Yes. $50 a ton below state.
I'm just going any lower than that's pretty much not going to happen. So.
Plus, we would like to get the work done as soon as possible.
Anyone have anything else? It's pretty cut and dry. We had, like Derek said, we had a pretty long discussion Monday about this at the study session. So, if not, we'd look for a motion.
No public,
Oh,
public
sorry,
comment.
not forgot. Okay.
Jean Hood?
Okay, Gene, same thing, 5 minutes only on this topic.
Okay. Now, the paper. Mr. Brown, you know, I appreciate that you say now in the paper for the first time in your life that Nebraska needs repairs for a long time. That's the understatement of the world. And I appreciate what the man in the public comment said about Nebraska Road south of Labette, you know, on there, because as he told you about the fire truck avoiding that, because see, people don't travel that road. You know, they don't want to because it's in so bad a shape. But see, the other thing is that other people, since this paper came out too yesterday, you know, you got $400,000 you're going to have left. That's your words, Mr. Brown. Okay? But see, you're forgetting about one area that one person called me about this morning before you got here. And that's Nebraska up there off of Nevada Road in Dunn's area up there. That years ago, when Sue Farrell was here in this chambers, that road was tore to pieces because that's where the Toy Creek Bridge is. And you guys didn't want to fix that bridge. So you only let one way in for those 5 residents that live in that area. And the road is bad again. And you know, you better take a look at the other places on Nebraska Road around here, gentlemen, because you just can't just pick that out. You know, and 39 areas, oh, for God's sake. You know, there's so many more areas out there, and I can't go rehashing all that since my time is limited. But, you know, you've got one thing, though, you've got to do. You've got to prepare Nebraska right. That ain't enough asphalt. That ain't thick enough. What's going to happen is you're going to do this, and then about a year or 2 down the road, here we're right back again because you're going to put chip and seal over it. And then to make a what? A statement saying to make it look good. Well, making it look good don't get it to what's underneath. Come on. I'm sorry, but you know, I have to speak for those people out there that live out there and have to put, like I said before. And you know, the other thing I want to make a mention, on the internet, you got Kellogg's deal. Look close, people. Look at the date that Kellogg made that bid. On April the 5th. Now, what was Friday? That was April the 15th. I don't have any problem with Kellogg. I think they're adequate people to do the job. But you're going to have to, if you're only going to put that much patchwork and sticking that in there, it ain't going to do it. It's not going to do it. You'll be right back where it was, and then I'll refer to this day again when that happens. But there's one other thing, though, too, you're going to have to do, and you're going to talk about that in the next one, which I'm going to talk, and that is the ditches. Now, look, you're going to have to clean those ditches out on Nebraska. Now, if you don't do that between 15th Street and Levette, then you're deceiving it. Because after tonight, when we get this heavy rain, and the disaster that the rain water is going to be running down like even Nevada and every place else, it's going to be unbelievable to what you see. And, you know, the only way you can see it is emphasize it, is drive your own vehicle. Drive your own vehicle. Don't take a county vehicle out. Drive your own vehicle, and then you'll experience why you don't want to drive it either.
1 minute.
So, one more other comment. You know, Waymar, this is the first time you've opened your mouth this much today since the first of the year of anything. But I got a few things about your district people are talking to me about, which I will talk about again at another day.
James Wallace.
James Wallace, 2447 Nebraska Road. I'd like to know what happens to the leftover money of the savings on the road department. Does it stay in the road department, or does it go back into the general fund or whatever? And I think it should stay in the road department to be used for road maintenance and special projects. And to piggyback on Mr. Adamson's remarks, I'd like to see a study done, or a survey, or traffic count, or whatever you want to call it, from Nebraska Road to 15th Street. I mean, Rock Creek on Nebraska to 15th Street. I think you'll be surprised how much traffic does go on that road. And blacktop may or may not be the answer, but something needs to be done to keep that road maintained, because it's turning into a main road awful fast. That's all I got.
I will say, Commissioner Howard, I appreciate Mr. Wallace's comments about the money. That won't leave the Public Works budget, and in fact, anything that we do with that will be a board decision. And so that will all be discussed publicly in a public meeting. And so we know we have other areas. I believe it is David's intention to recommend that we put those funds toward road work in other areas. So if I were to venture a guess today, it's that the lion's share of that will go towards road improvements in the near term. And so, but that will all come before you for discussion.
David kind of explained too, this is for repairs, quite a lot. There's 694 tons, so about 38, 39 dump trucks worth of asphalt. Large amount of material. This is ahead of chip seal. It's going to be done on those roads later this year. We wanted to keep it manageable into this phase and then come back for another phase and see what actuals come out as, what we actually end up with as far as money. And then still early in the year, it's not even summer yet, so we'll be able to look at other areas.
And one reason we have this surplus, it's not particularly surplus, but one reason we're able to use this is because some of our chip and seal roads that we've done on this rotation have held up extremely well and are in pretty good shape, or we wouldn't be able to do this. So this isn't extra money by any means. This is just why we're able to use this, and those roads can go another year or so without doing that. So.
Because we're not just doing them because they're up, we're doing them because they're not doing them because they are in good shape.
Anything else on this? Now I'm looking for a motion to approve accepting the proposal from Kellogg Construction to perform work on Nebraska Road, Levette Terrace, as well as Rock Creek Road.
Make a motion to accept the proposal from Kellogg Construction to perform work on Nebraska Road and Levette Terrace, as well as Rock Creek Road.
Motion's are second.
Second?
Commissioner Solomar?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, item 5, consider for approval contributing up to $75,000 to the Stafford Road project near K33 Highway in Louisville. Sure.
That's another item we discussed at Monday's study session. You'll recall several months ago, Mayor Lytle and a team from Wellsville came down here and requested county support in a project up there off of Stafford and K33. It's a new trucking outfit going in. David and I have kept in touch with them over the past, several months, and we discussed putting this money towards. So initially, the city asked us if we would be willing to basically finish a quarter mile of Stafford Road. And I believe that quote had curb, gutter, everything, and it was over $400,000. Well, that wasn't plausible, but in talking with Kine, they have said that all they really need to get their operation running is 300 feet of road, paved road that will get them in and out. And so, and looking at that, Wellsville's provided us with an estimate of around $75,000 as we discussed Monday. An option for us would be to just agree to pay that $75,000 or any portion thereof to help them get the project off the ground. Mayor Lytle is here today. I'm sure he'd be happy to come up and speak if need be. Again, this is a good opportunity to forge a partnership with Wellsville. I think the growth up there is happening today, which is exciting. I think they're anxious to grow. They're anxious for this partnership, and I think it's a good opportunity.
And I'd like to come up and kind of give us an idea of where you're at and what the plans are up there.
I'm going to defer to Matt Burton, our community development director. He's a lot more familiar with the total scope of the project and meets with the engineers on a regular basis. So I would defer to him. We do appreciate your time, and I'll let Pat speak to the issue.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr. Brown. My name is Pat Burton. I'm the Community Development Director at the City of Wellsville. We are faced with Klein is putting new trucks up, and I think everyone is aware of that. Stafford Road is, there's some improvements on Stafford Road to be able, for them to utilize that correctly. And also in conjunction with the state work on the highway there. We did approach the county and asked them if they would participate in, well, first I think we did ask if they would complete the road, and it ended up in a participation. I will say that in conjunction, if you do approve, I mean, we are looking at going ahead, and I believe we'll have enough funding to get almost to the city limits to the east. So in participating with this, it would help us free up money to continue Stafford to the east to the city limits. We might be a little short, but we will, I don't know if you're familiar there, if there is a church right there, we would try and get past that church at least. As you're aware, the city of Wellsville has hired me because there is a lot of growth and a lot of potential growth that we're working with every day. We hope that, like Mr. Brown said, we forge a good partnership and start working in these projects. Hopefully what we will do in the future is a little more timeliness and starting to work ahead of time with the county. I'm big on that. Project comes in, we immediately would notify the county and start looking in ways for everyone to be able, it won't be a last minute decision. Also, from here on out, on participation with the county, as far as notifying them of what is upcoming also, because we do realize, and I do for sure realize that there may be something that comes on down 33, but it would impact the county in lots of different ways. So we do appreciate it if you would participate in this. It's not that we would just take the money and do only the county portion. We're willing to do all the construction management on it, bids and everything. Are there any questions? I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
We're happy to participate and help, and great things are happening in Wellsville. I wonder if, talk about planning ahead and more communication, inviting Wellsville to our joint lunch that we have with the City of Ottawa and the School District and economic development already. That could be a great way to kind of help get ahead of some of that
And I've been more than
communication.
willing. I've been on the job about 12 days.
Yeah, sure.
So, yes, I'd be more than happy to field any questions you, I believe Mr. Stallmeyer has my mobile number. If not, you're always welcome to contact me anytime, and I can deliver anything. But yes, I'd be more than happy to.
It's an annual or a monthly thing.
Okay.
Just notice you, whatever you have
And
time
we
to start.
will, as you know, Interval, I'm fielding a lot of calls. To give you a little background, I was with Spring Hill for a lot of years, and before that I was with Gardner, so I'm very familiar with growth. And Spring Hill was a different, there was two counties there, so there was a lot of coordination. So hopefully from here on out, we will coordinate.
What's your timeline of getting this?
We would like to start getting bids immediately, completing. A lot of the engineering has been completed. As Mr. Brown alluded to, it was originally curb and gutter, but with the changes in that area, now we looked at, we would probably drop the curb and gutter off. And it's not that we eventually will see that road as curb and gutter, but there are a lot of changes happening in that area. As you well know, Select Steel is building there, putting some new streets in for that, the new overpass, and we're filling in a lot of questions with the property between Select Steel and I'm sorry about that.
I think it's a great opportunity for the Fresno County Commissioners to say, yes, the county is, we want to support all areas of the county. And I also think that we as a county, Janet and Derek have both said that they would like to partner not only with the funds, but, information with the state, on how to work with the state, get funding from the state, and different aspects of that also. So
we are working towards that as well, looking at different grant programs that have already started on, and forming some partnerships with that, well, just like the NSF. So we we do appreciate staff as well as commissioners and we hope that from here on out that would be a greater opportunity to start information sharing.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Gene.
Okay. I agree, Wellsville is one of the areas that's improving immensely, and there is more growth to be expected there at Wellsville. I toured the Wellsville facility up there, the rehab and nursing home there. And since I remember 72 to now, has immensely improved major consequences. And I'm really appreciative that that has been done for sure for Wellsville. Now getting to this part here on this truck stop and this road. Okay, so I bring it to your attention here that on the agenda page on the internet, it says under background that you need between 75,000 and 100,000. Now, what is it? Is it 75 or is it up to 100? These are your words, not mine. Okay. Now, okay, the other thing too I want to point out, and I have no problem doing this for that type of truck stop, that's fine. And that's great. But you're going to put 8 inches of asphalt there. Well, sure, yeah, you're going to have heavy trucks and everything else. But see, here in this Quest Engineering Incorporated on the internet, it states here, like there's not going to be no curbs, no relocation required, no storm pipe, or any of that. But then he makes this point. You're going to have to regrade the ditches. Now, you just spoke to the last one. I told you on Nebraska, you got to do the ditches. So if you're going to do the ditches here, for under 75,000, then by God, you owe it to the people on that road at Nebraska the same as for the ditches, because that's what it says right here. The ditches have to be cleaned out. Ditches to be redone. Okay, there it is, black and white. So, and we know the ditches in many places are bad. And so I ask again, what is the actual cost that you're willing to go to? Is it 75? Or is it between 75 and 100,000 as it states on the internet? Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this? Is anybody, 75 is what we're talking about, what's on the agenda here is kind of what we agreed to on
Like,
Monday.
could I ask Pat to come back up one more time?
Sure.
Quick? Pat.
Sure.
Are they already working on the ditches up there?
They have started construction with the detention basin and all. I would also like to just a little, it will be a city project, it's just a participation of the county, we would appreciate that obviously. Yes, they will be regrading that entire area to make sure that it drains correctly. And some of the water, well, all the on-site water obviously will be detained or retained in accordance with the stormwater management practices, and the state approves those as well under an intent. So, yes, to answer your question directly, they have started moving some dirt, and they will be addressing all the water problems on that area. But obviously, the state is looking at it too, because it's on the state highway, coming off the state highway, I'm sorry. So we will not be allowed to have any water flowing and things like that. So there will be some improvements there under a city project, and we would appreciate your participation on it anyway. And we do recognize that on the agenda listed out as a $75,000 participation.
Thank you.
We also talked about the ditches on Monday. When we had our discussion on Monday, we already talked about ditches, so, thank you.
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve contributing up to $75,000 to the Stafford Road project near K-33 Highway in Westwood.
Second.
Got a motion to second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay. Sure.
Thank you. So, thank you very much for your participation, and we look forward to, for the mayor and the council, and the entire city, we do appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, takes the staff reports.
Yeah, to talk a little about the budget and roads. You know, I can appreciate all of the comments that have been made today, going back to Commissioner Renaud and trying to set money aside. I will tell you that, you know, what is this, Janet, our third year of working on the budget together, 20 will be our third year, and you guys know better than anyone that we've trimmed a lot. I mean, we found a lot of efficiencies in our budget, and you know, that's the goal every year, and I believe we will continue to do so. I can sit here and say before you now, the departments that are under the board's control, there is very little fat there. I mean, we're really utilizing those funds incredibly well. And so, how does this pertain to roads? Well, we're gonna need to, explore taxing options if we're gonna make some of the, you're talking about chip sealing and asphalting certain roads, which if that's the board's prerogative, that's great, but I will tell you today, we don't have the budget for that. And so we would need to look into sales tax options potentially. I know in Miami County, they do that, and I know that's, helped their road program immensely, but that's something that would have to be put to an election. You guys couldn't sit up here and say, all right, we're levying a sales tax. I mean, the people would have to vote to approve that. Now, can we find certain funds to just start setting aside? Yeah, we can, but we've also got our capital improvements, our buildings that we're trying to do. I mean, it's not going to be such a large chunk of funds that we're next year going to be able to pave several miles of road. It's just, the economics of that is just impossible unless you guys want to raise the mill levy. But then there again, you get into tax lid issues and whether or not you can do that. And so to some degree, you guys, as you sit there, are hamstrung. Even if you said, well, we're going to raise the mill levy 5 mills to do this, well, the state legislature is going to say, no, you're not. You're under a tax lid. And so it's not as easy as it may appear to members of the public. So it's something we have to think about. What we can do now is use the money that we have as wisely as we can. And there is no doubt in my mind that David Lee and that Jeff Weldon are doing that. I mean, they are doing a heck of a good job out there, and I know they'll continue to do so. But as we move forward, I do think we need to explore down the line a potential sales tax and maybe some other mechanisms. So today is our joint luncheon. Tammy has worked very hard and put together, she's got a great meal plan, so hopefully you all can make it. I will not be there, but I am expecting a pretty good turnout, and that's all I have today.
Sure. Jeff, you got anything else for that?
I think so.
Nick?
I just want to bring you up to speed on a couple of things. The next gen installation is complete. We've got that all up and rolling. We worked through the changes with that, the education. COFO has been awesome to work with on that. We've talked about the Texas 911, we've talked about some of that. They ran an infomercial or public announcement about the texting of 911. I don't know if you've heard it, it sounded really good. They've also ran a few different things regarding Communications Center. I want to point out this week is Telecommunicator Week, so it's recognition for the girls down there that did a good job. Honestly, one of the best groups of people I've ever worked with. They're a great cohesive group down there. I don't know if you've heard or not, there is legislation on the federal side to reclassify dispatchers as first responders. So that's a big push going on right now. I truly hope it does go through, and we can start getting the recognition that's deserved for that group of people.
What would be the effect of that? Would it make it KPF eligible, or?
I think it would start allowing that, plus what's the different shift options, like, you know, there's different ways to do law enforcement. So hopefully we can get some work with that. We did just finish up our academy, which was 5 weeks of 8 to 5 education for dispatchers upstairs. I believe you guys saw the console we put together, all that. The girls went downstairs starting Monday, and I'm very excited. It's kind of been fun to see the trainers that have trained for years go, what are we going to teach them? Like, now you're going to hone their skills, you're going to start working on it, so starting at the base level. So that has been a success so far. On the EMS side, we just are almost to complete another AEMT class, which is an advanced EMT, allowing that will advance our EMTs up to being able to do IVs, medications, some of that stuff. 2 of our people are in that class. We have 1 from Ottawa Fire, and we have 3 from outside agencies in that class. So that'll be wrapping up here within the next month. Our medical account manager that we hired, she is hit the ground running, doing a good job. Really excited to see what that position turns into as we go forward. And other than that, calls are still coming in strong, and we're real busy. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that it is Emergency Telecommunicator Week, so if you have time to stop and say anything here, they'd appreciate it, I'm sure.
Was it Lyman County that came up?
We
don't know about that.
We have, with going with the next gen system, I think I've explained a little bit, but we have to designate backup centers. And with that, like, let's say our center goes down, Lyon County's on the state hosted system. If they were on the 800 system, which they're working on going on now, we could essentially drive down there, log into our computers like we're in our dispatch center, and dispatch like we're not in. So the state's push is to start aligning to have primary and secondary, and then a southern dispatch center. So let's say the North Core goes out. Right now with the next gen, there's a core in Topeka, there's a core in Wichita. If something would happen and the one would go out in Topeka, all of our 911 calls would essentially roll over somewhere south. So we wouldn't lose them. We just need to have agreements. So when if that would happen, what would we do? Lyon County came up, and they are in a situation kind of like us, where right now the way we're aligned, to our eastern side is the Mid-America Regional Council system. To Osage, and they're on their own hosted system. Anderson County is the only state hosted system close to us. They couldn't handle our call volume. So we have had to reach out, work towards interoperability. So we worked with Lyon County. Lyon County is actually in the southern core also, so they will be one that we'll be working with. They came up and they were very impressed with the dispatch center. They were very impressed with the consoles that have been put in there and that were put in prior to us coming in, but they were impressed with how it runs. So they were very excited to get a partnership signed with us. So we will be their north host rollover, and that'll be our south host rollover. We are working hard with Douglas County. Douglas County is on the Mid-America Regional System, but they're on the 800 radio system. And because they are on the same tandem, which is phone lines as ours, we can make them our primary backup dispatch center. So that's what our overall goal is, to have them be our primary and Emporia to be our secondary. We did also sign an agreement with Anderson County to take their overflow. So if Anderson County would go down, we'll pick those up. So just some things that's required to go on the next gen system that we've been working through. But it's nice to And it's kudos to, you know, the sheriff's department, it's kudos to the commission for what you guys have supported over the last year and a half, to have outside dispatch centers come in and talk so highly about what they're seeing and where we're going. And that's not only with the dispatch center, that's the radio system, that's what employee is trying to mirror what we do with our radio system. So it's nice to put ourselves in the leadership role and roll with that stuff. Thank you.
Kenny, take it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying
I do have, want to make a few comments to you guys. Mr. Hurt and Mr. Wallace are correct. I mean, that stretch of Nebraska is a connected link. We've got 5 to 7 connected links identified that would be good candidates for chip seal roads. The issue with the stretch that they're talking about is it's almost flat grade. There's very little drainage out there. We've done some minor ditch work in years past for rays that are on that road. The main issue, the reason we can't make improvements to it, we need to get all the utilities moved. There are phone lines, gas lines, water lines that are not to depth on Nebraska, so the road would have to be lifted anywhere from 3 to 4 feet in order to, in a flat grade, in a flood area, especially when it does flood, you know what water does when trying to lift it up into a roadway. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to get out there. We have been looking at it. Have made an attempt 5 or 6 years ago to get them to move the utilities. Most of the time, it's AT&T, and it's usually a rate of 4 to 6 years to get something moved. So if this is something that they're serious about, we need to probably be looking to get in touch with them and get that process started. So thank you.
So just a couple comments about the budget. Last Friday was the deadline for department heads to turn in their completed worksheets to Derek and I, so we can review those. So I have all but 2 departments are complete, and they're just waiting on some final numbers so to get those ready. Derek and I are going to be sitting down and with each of those department heads in the next week or 2 to review those budgets and any requests that they may have, so we can get everything together for you guys. In regards to the budget as a whole, as it's prepared every year, there was a question about the budget and where money goes. I always welcome those questions in my office. Mr. Wallace, if you want to come down to my office or make a phone call to my office, I'm happy to answer those questions specifically for you in regards to, you know, statutorily what we do with the money, where it goes, if it stays there, if it doesn't stay there. And I would just say that to any public at all. If you have questions regarding the budget, if you have questions regarding a specific road, if you have questions in regard to zoning, don't wait to come to a county commission meeting. Call those departments and reach out to those department heads. And most of our department heads are incredibly responsive and want to help you immediately. We don't want you to have to wait to come to the commission meeting and this board to review your concern and send it to a department head for them to review. We want to get you taken care of right away. So definitely reach out to the department that can address your concern and see if we can get that taken care of for you immediately. If we can't, certainly come to this board and discuss it with them. This podium is always open for our citizens to speak, and a lot of counties don't do that anymore, but we want to still provide that to you. But definitely go to the departments. And like I said, I'm happy to help anyone with any budget questions regarding the county budget. And in addition to that, I have all of the budgets for all of the other taxing jurisdictions in the county, the townships, the cemetery boards, the fire districts, all those, and I work with those people very closely, so I can answer a lot of questions about their budgets too. So definitely bring all those questions to us.
I've got a question for you, Janet.
Sure.
Just heard on the news the governor was proposing to let people vote in any location they wanted to, and I think that was a good idea. But
I actually am very excited about the prospect of that. I don't know that we can make that work in our county. I was just at a training seminar for my certification classes last Thursday and Friday, and we had a lot of conversations about this. We had the Secretary of State's office into our conference, and they split us up in groups so we could work with smaller counties, larger counties, medium-sized county, which we are on the top end of the larger counties, which is really funny, but we're not a large county in the respect of all of across the United States, but in Kansas, we are closer to the top on that scale. But I do identify us as a medium-sized county. We struggle with a lot of the same things that a lot of the western counties with, is adequate Wi-Fi in a lot of our areas. I'm sure Commissioner Stottlemyre can attest to this because his wife works for me at Rantoul. My outlying areas have very difficult situation trying to contact me during the day if they need something. I know Rantoul is one, Centropolis is one, where they have to, the poll worker literally has to go outside and call me. They can't do it from inside the building. And to try to do that, we would have to have adequate Wi-Fi at every location so that the poll books can talk to each other, which is another thing. We would have to get electronic poll books, which is something we don't have, and I think is a really great idea. And the cost is not too extravagant to do that at all, but the difficulty would be finding election workers that are willing to do it. It is not difficult at all. In fact, the process is probably easier than doing the paper poll book that we do right now. But just the intimidation factor of my election workers getting up and running on a new system is something that they kind of told me they don't know that they're willing to overcome. So I think it's a great idea, especially, we have Wellsville growing, and so people are kind of moving that way as a whole to go to work, up that way and into the city. And so, I think about people who get on the interstate at Williamsburg to go to work, and then they think, oh shoot, I forgot to go vote. Am I going to be back to Franklin County in time to vote in the day? If we did the vote center, they could stop off at Wellsville, cast their vote, and everything would be fine. We wouldn't have another provisional ballot for you guys to consider when we go to the canvass. We would just have another regular ballot. And also we would probably, we are considering new election equipment. We would definitely have to have some different election equipment that could accommodate that also. So.
Okay, it takes us commissioner comments and board reports. Roy, you want to start?
Yes, I went to ECAN luncheon for volunteers yesterday. Volunteers contributed equivalent to $250,000 worth of their time to volunteer. Of course, every organization that relies on volunteers really appreciates volunteers and helping their programs. So it's good to have a luncheon to recognize volunteers. Then last night I went to the ECAN board meeting, and some of the things that happened at the board meeting, they're getting started lining up their summer lunch program, and it turns out Gardner Edgerton School District is going to provide the lunches for Franklin County and Anderson County. They've reached out to Area Agency on Aging about providing it. They couldn't do it this year because they're losing a cook or something like that, or a couple of cooks this summer. So they found Gardner Edgerton School District is going to provide the meals for the lunch program, and it's going to accommodate kids from 1 year to 18 years. Just come by a little bit and have lunch. Want to participate in that program. Also, they decided to go with Blue Cross Blue Shield for their insurance program, their insurance provider, because they had a Humana and they were going up extremely high, so they figured out a better insurance program. They touched base about the Fire funnel up there in the north industrial park. It's moving right along. Eventually they'll have 34 duplexes there for people, and the first one should be available in August. So that project is going along real nice. Anyway, they're watching the federal budget as far as funding for a lot of their programs. And that's, on their mind to see how that comes out. I think a lot of those community action programs are watching the federal budget and see if the money's going to be there or not going to be there. They're worried about another possible shutdown as far as these programs go. That's about it.
Last Wednesday evening, I attended the forum on Medicare expansion that included Governor Kelly, the Lieutenant Governor Rogers, Senator Tyson, and Representative Samsel. I appreciated Governor's remarks on her view on expanding Medicare into the state of Kansas. I also appreciated Senator Tyson's remarks on that she doesn't feel that Medicaid expansion is a one-size-fits-all, but if we do approve Medicare expansion, it needs to be tailored to the needs of the state of Kansas. On Friday, I attended a chamber coffee for IM Design Group. They don't have a brick and mortar building in Ottawa. They are based out of Emporia, but they are seeing the growth and the potential growth in our area, and they are a design group, advertising group that would like, and they have worked with businesses in Franklin County. And then also just a reminder that April is Safe Digging Month. So if you're going to be digging, call before you dig.
Into the hospital board meeting last evening, we're still on track for affiliation. I believe that document gets signed May 1st or gets closed May 1st. They voted to, after the emergency room expansion, they borrowed $1 billion from Kansas State Bank, I believe it was, for operating money for the day-to-day operations. They voted to repay that, so they're technically debt-free again, with the exception of equipment leases. And major items business.
Derek and I attended Wellville City meeting last week, and I appreciate Derek going up there and give a very good presentation on how the county wants to continue to work with the outside communities and not be so, centered in one spot, but spread ourselves around and try and do a lot better job of it. And I think they did a real good job of making good conversation and getting things going better for outside areas and communities. I think this has been a real good deal in Wellsville. Maybe it's got the topic going in the right direction. Like Pat says, anything we have coming up in the future, you're really getting in on the ground floor of the whole situation. And I'm glad that we was able to have extra money to where we could put towards the project. And I think we're going to have some others, just because the ones we voted on today, I think when David has a chance and Jeff has a chance, they're going to come back with some more. So, I feel like it's just a good start on that. One thing you brought up about, Janet did, and Derek, about our department head doing a good job of finding ways, and I feel Wellsville department heads are doing also kind of the same way. I know their police chief come forward with them on ideas to go with a different type of vehicle for their police cars, and actually save them maybe $4,000 to $6,000 a vehicle, and so you'd still be happy with the vehicle. And it had a lot to do with just the increased cost in the one they was getting, and he seen that he wasn't acceptable with that happening, and he was willing to change the style of vehicle he used, and I think that's a good deal. And I know Jeff has been bringing, or Pat's been bringing good ideas to them, some sewer problems and stuff they've had up there, some changes they're making, and upgrade. Only other thing about along that one, I'm still working with the city of Rantoul and the city of Lane, helping kind of liaison between. I started that before I was commissioner this time around, so I'm finishing it out. helping them with the parks and both, working with the health department and the Blue Cross Blue Shield grant to improve their city parks with sidewalks and facilities, just like they did down Princeton, right down there. I did attend the other day, got together with our state RC&D council, got together with the state conservation. I invited Karen Woodridge, the new state conservationist, and we're trying to figure out a way that RC&D statewide can be more involved with the conservation district after all the federal cuts in 11. That kind of was a disconnect, and she had just come on as our new state conservationist, and she wants to renew that as the best she can and still stay within federal guidelines. And she said there is $2 million out there for the state of Kansas for the type of project that we do, and she's willing to work with us and offer us any help we can to achieve that. So I thought that was a good gesture on her part, you know. The only other one thing I might have, just a heads up for everyone, I've been working with Don Teskey, which is the president of the Kansas Farmers Union. He also serves as National Board of Directors for the Farmers Veterans Coalition. And two of those big sponsors for that Farmers Coalition is Farm Bureau, nationally, and Kubota, which is building a huge facility just up the road from it. So I have Don coming into our meeting on May the 7th here in this room at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he'll be giving a presentation and invite anybody that'd like to come. I know Farm Bureau has a real interest in wanting to be there because they are a national sponsor, and Roy being the head of the Veterans Association, Vietnam, and the VFW and so forth, it's something we'd like to get started in this part of the state, and hopefully with him coming in, we can get that going. So that's all I got.
I have not been to any meetings since our last meeting. But anything else? If not, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion is a second.
Oh, second.
Yeah, motion is second. All in favor? Aye.
That's good. Thank you.
You down south?